In 1876, Amos and Annie Curtis Bowman reached Fidalgo Island. Amos surveyed the waterfront. He liked what he saw.
On examining the harbor for terminal purposes, which was the first work I did here, I was agreeably surprised to find every condition around Anacortes place nearly perfect. And in the spring of 1877, I purchased it from Miss Maud Stevens of Boston, a sister of General Hazard Stevens, for the sum of $1,000.
Amos was a visionary. He could see a town carved from the forest, a big town.
Amos Bowman described it as it was going to be the New York of the West. And when they laid out the city, they laid it out to be the same size as the city of Boston.
If he was a visionary, he was also a romantic. He named the town of his dreams after the woman he loved, Annie Curtis. There are conflicting stories about how it came to be called Anacortes.
One story is that the Anacortes, he just corrupted it, modified it to a certain extent to fit in with the Fidalgo Island, the Spanish influence.
Or maybe it was a typo.
It was thought that Amos was going to name the city Anacortes, and in communicating with the Postal Department in Washington, D.C., they thought because of the Spanish influence through here, it was Anacortes, and that was the way it came, and it stayed forevermore. That's the legend of how it got the name Anacortes rather than Anacortes.
Old-timers, when I came out here, were still referring to this town as Anacortes.
Anacortes was an ideal destination for the sailing ships that rode the prevailing westerlies the length of the Strait of Juan de Fuca to the deep protected waters of the Guaymas Channel. Amos visualized a world-class port where sail met rail on land he just happened to own.
He was surveying for the Canadian Railroad. He was a mining engineer, surveyor, reporter, very versatile, and apparently very charismatic.
Well, there was always a rumor that Anacortes, because of its seaport, was a strong possibility to become a terminus for a railroad line.
Amos took advantage of the power of the press to promote his grandiloquent vision of the New York of the West, the Manhattan of the Pacific.
And he established the town's first newspaper, the Northwest Enterprise, which he used as a tool to communicate with the power brokers throughout the nation.
Amos was entirely in favor of advocacy journalism. One of his most celebrated journalistic feats was the publication of a map.
He made an incredible map, and that was circulated through the media of his newspaper all around the country. Any place where he thought there might be someone interested in Anacortes as a site for an industry or a rail line.
Amos just was able to convince all these people that this was just the most perfect location for everything.
Amos Bowman realized that we were kind of sitting in the catbird seat, and there was a map that came out in 1890 when he was making his big push for Anacortes that showed Anacortes as being 1/16 of an inch off being dead center in the planet.